Hi friends, Tiziana here today, and today we're working on welt pockets. I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a perfect welt pocket. Let's do it. Got all my pieces here. We've got the single welt, we've got the pocket facing, then we've got the actual pocket facing, and then we've got this is what our bodice would be like. So this would be like where you're going to do your pocket. The first thing is you want to transfer your markings for your welt pocket, and I'm just going to draw mine in using measurements I already know.
I'm making mine 5.5 inches by 1 inch.
Okay, so there's my welt pocket. The next step is to go ahead and draw a line right in the center of your welt pocket. And my welt pocket is 1 inch wide. I mean, the length of it's 1 inch tall. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch, which is what this ruler is, 1/2 inch. So it kind of helps me with that. Okay, so now I have that prepped. I'm going to grab my pocket facing. One thing you want to make sure is that your pocket facing and your welt is going to be 1/2 inch longer on each side of the markings that you made. That way it's going to give you a better fit. We're going to grab our facing, actually not the pocket bag facing. We're going to put that aside. We're going to grab our facing for the pocket, and we're going to draw on the back side of it. We're going to start from the bottom edge. We're going to go up 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch from each side. So I'm going to mark 1/2 inch from each side, and then I'm going to go 1/2 inch up from the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my welt pocket and I'm going to turn it. I'm going to fold it wrong sides together, give it a good steam, a good press, and then from the raw edge we're going to mark it as well. We're going to start from the bottom. Well, actually we're going to mark that 1/2 inch on the sides from each edge, and then from the bottom 1/2 inch from the bottom. Now I've got my markings on my facing and on my welt pocket. Then I'm going to grab my bodice again where I already have my markings. I'm going to grab this bottom of the facing. I'm going to place it right sides together. See where that mark is, that first line right there? I'm going to match up that line, and it should create like a rectangle. See how with my markings, we're creating a rectangle there. And I'm going to pin that on and sew on that first line. You want to make sure that you back stitch at the beginning and at the end. All right, once that's done, I'm going to trim that extra thread. All right, now we're going to grab our welt pocket and see where that line is. Actually, the edge of this, we're going to match it up with that line right there. So it's kind of like the edge of this piece right here. And then we're going to match that up. And so now it creates, like, if you can see, like the rectangle again. Make sure you're lining it up all nicely. You got to kind of lift this up out of the way, kind of so you can get it all lined up. Do that. And then we're going to sew over that line. All right, we trim that. Now with your scissors, we're going to open up that seam here where if you move these flaps, you see your line right there. You're going to open that up. And we're going to go towards the one end. Stop about 1/2 inch before you end, and you're going to go towards one side and then towards the other side, right up to the thread that you just sewed. Don't cut the thread though, but you go right up to it, and you're going to have this little triangle at the end. Then we're going to go the same on the other side. Go down till about 1/2 inch before your end of your line, and then you're going to go down to one side and then over to the other side. This is what it will look like on the inside. And then we're going to flip everything towards the back. You have your little triangles here on the sides that will come towards the back. This is what the back will look like, and this is what the front will look like. Now, obviously this will all be tucked in. You got to go give it a good steam so everything lays nice and flat. If you have a little bit of puckering here on the sides, it means that you need to go back and trim that a little bit closer to the stitch line. I'm gonna go give it a steam and then we'll continue on. All right, so this is what it will look like on the front. You still have these triangles that we'll take care of in a minute, but here's your placket. I mean, not your placket, your pocket here. And then on the back, it looks just like this. Here's your flap right here of your welt pocket, and then your facing here. So we're gonna go over and we're going to stitch these triangles down. So we're gonna move this fabric, your bodice fabric, out of the way, and we're gonna place this triangle against your welt pocket. And we're gonna go in and stitch it on. So you're gonna top stitch that on. We're gonna do that on both sides. Move the fabric off of your bodice out of the way, and you're gonna stitch that triangle to the facing. To the welt pocket. All right, let's take a moment to appreciate that beautiful welt pocket. And now let me show you what the back looks like. Let me trim all this stuff out of the way. And you can see the rectangle, the triangle has been stitched on there. And now we're gonna place our facing on. We're gonna grab our facing and we're gonna match it to, you see right here, here's the facing of the pocket, here's the welt pocket here. We're gonna move that welt pocket. You see the seam allowance here of the welt pocket right here. We're gonna stitch that to the pocket facing, right sides together here. We're gonna sew that. We're gonna sew that with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so now that's sewn right there. Again, clip those threads, get them out of the way. And now we're gonna clip the bottom of that to the facing here and sew. Almost finished. The last step is to push all this all the way down, the whole thing. This is the facing, and then this is the rest of the facing, and it's going down towards the bottom. And we're gonna sew this side to close that pocket bag, and the other side. You'll see that once we close that in the front, you have your welt pocket, and there is the pocket. Hand goes in there. Pocket looks nice. Well, it looks all poofy now because the clips are there, but we're gonna finish that up and we'll be done. All right, we're gonna trim all these threads. And this is what the front of your welt pocket looks like. There's your pocket in there. And this is the back. Looks so good. I hope this was helpful. I hope you let me know if you have any questions. Comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you all next time. Bye.